Peter Gray,
Nick LeBarrow.
you can't sit there.
As if.
It's the monthly movie marathon where we marathon movies monthly.
Also,
2024 edition.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, everyone. It's lovely to see you. I hope you had a bountiful Christmas and a stunningly safe New Year, but one where lots of alcohol was consumed, hangovers were cured by KFC, and goals were set for this new year. That's what I hope you all had. Welcome back, Pete. Welcome back to me too. You're Peter Gray.
You're Nick LeBarrow.
Rotten Tomatoes certified critic man from the AU Review and various other sites occasionally.
And you're from Nova Stream Network.
I am. That's all I am.
Yeah, I wish I could say you're, but that's okay.
If we had to,
hey, maybe that can be a 2024.
Maybe it can be a goal for 2024 if they let me in. Let me in. But like, if we were to like break it down, like, would you say you're the plastics of the movie review community? Like, everyone loves you, and you have this like hierarchical sort of stance over everyone. Would you say that? And I'm Katie. Oh, and I'm just trying to break in. I'm from Africa.
Oh, and it's like being Regina. I've let you in, but that also means
we hate each other.
That
by
also
the end
means
of this.
you're going to take over. And I was like,
that's true.
So you know what? No.
Oh. So now I can't sit here.
So part of me is like, I'd like to be the plastics in terms of like popularity and status. But I was like, but I don't want to become a fat ass who loses my post because of some fucking redhead, which you're not.
I'm not a redhead, but I have a mullet and it's close enough. It's close enough to being a redhead. Well, if you haven't picked up on it yet, guys, we're talking high school chick flicks today because there's a movie coming out next week in which it's 20 years since the original films come out.
That's crazy.
That is kind of crazy to think about because it's one of those ones where I was like, okay, I mean, there's a lot that has happened to the high school chick flick in that time.
Yeah.
And there's a lot that came before it as well.
I mean, you were fucking like, what, 8 years old?
I was 9 years old when Mean Girls came out. And I watched it for the first time in 2023. I realized as I was watching it, I thought I'd seen it, but I had just seen clips of it everywhere.
Wow.
So I had never seen Mean Girls before a couple of nights ago.
Oh, shit. So that means there was two movies
Two movies I hadn't seen.
That makes me so excited. Because I went into this going, Nick's seen Mean Girls, Nick's seen Booksmart. Like, okay, it's just Clueless.
Now it's Clueless and Mean Girls. Because I was watching it and I was like, I don't remember this or that. But I was like, I feel like I've seen bits of it. So that's the case. But we have watched these films. So, I mean, high school chick flicks is the theme for today's episode.
Because on January 11th in Australia, January 12th in the US, there is a film coming out called Mean Girls.
Mean Girls.
And
it's
trailer and poster wise, it would have you believe that it's just a new twist on a classic.
Yeah.
And it is a new twist on a classic.
That's fair.
But don't think it's just like a weird remake or a reboot or a sequel. It's
for the sake of it.
It's not. It is the filmed adaptation of the musical adaptation of the original film that was based on a book. So
did you get that?
Yeah. So it's a musical.
Yeah.
That doesn't seem to be a thing a lot of people know about.
No, because the trailers aren't showing you that it's a musical. The behind the scenes aren't showing you that it's a musical.
So it's not so I haven't seen the Taylor Swift Eras movie.
No, neither have I.
don't like calling it a movie because it's a concert.
It's a concert.
Movie. Anyway, I don't want
We're not here for that debate.
I was like, I don't want Swifties coming for me. It's not a movie.
I'll come for you anyway.
Anyway, but before that movie, they played exclusively the trailer for Mean Girls in front of it. And the trailer they played in front of the Taylor Swift was the musical trailer.
Right, okay.
It started off with Renee Rapp singing. It showed legitimate
like musical numbers and stuff. Okay.
And and I was like, this is a good trailer to show that it's a different take on Mean Girls.
Interesting.
And then that trailer was not publicly released. And that trailer that was released.
I wonder why.
And the trailer that was released is simply...
It looks just like a remake of Mean Girls.
Yeah, which is not what it should be presenting. And now we're getting this weird thing where Wonka and The Color Purple, which were both kind of had musical-esque things in the trailers, but they both weren't like super like this is a musical.
And even with Wonka, because Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, as you will know from our episode of the Monthly Movie Marathon, thanks for listening. Also, thanks for listening to our 2023 recap. Was a musical, so it would have almost been like, Wonka is going to be another musical because we've done this before.
Yeah.
Color Purple, you could get because it's not a musical, right? Like but you've made it into one. And then Mean Girls as well, you kind of go, how the hell is this going to be a musical?
Yeah.
Not realizing that it is an incredibly successful Broadway show.
Yeah.
So, why hide that? But apparently people don't like it.
But that's the weird thing, because we've seen that they're like, people don't like musicals, which is why we've hidden the fact that Wonka and The Color Purple and Mean Girls are musicals.
Yes.
But Wonka and The Color Purple are both doing gangbuster numbers at the box office.
Doing quite well. They're doing quite well. They're getting them Christmas numbers.
And it's too late to sort of rejig Mean Girls' whole promotional tour.
I don't think you're taking out any songs from the film itself. So.
But the early word is that Mean Girls is going to have a good opening weekend.
So we're here. So we haven't seen it yet.
Yet.
It'll be our first screening back, which is after this episode. Will be a couple of days after this episode drops. Yes. So I know nothing about it going in, except for the fact it is a musical. It's projected to do okay.
Yeah.
Andrea Rice is in it. Australian actress. Yeah. Love her.
And Tina Fey is back acting in it, back writing it. Tim Meadows is back in it. We got John Hamm in it.
John Hamm's in it. I mean,
that's great.
John Hamm and Tina Fey,
I mean,
work really well together.
Yeah.
So there's parts of this that I'm intrigued by.
Yeah.
There's parts that I'm excited by. Yeah. And there's parts where I'm kind of like, we'll see.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not going to die on the hill of making sure I see Mean Girls. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But first screening back, so it has me excited.
Yes.
I'll probably wear a pink shirt.
Yeah.
Because it's on Wednesday.
And
it's a Wednesday screening.
Wednesdays we wear pink.
We wear pink.
But the reason...
for that reason.
Yeah. But, so that means Mean Girls was the choice for January, and we could have gone a multitude of different ways. Do you go musical?
Do you go Lindsay Lohan
movies? Do you do
Rachel McAdams films? Do you do Amanda Seyfried films? Do you do Lacey Chabert films?
Do you do Tina Fey films?
But we had a plethora of things to choose from.
But we decided to just go, you know what? Let's do teen movies, because arguably...
quintessential high school chick flicks.
Because arguably, Mean Girls is considered one of the greatest teen films of all time.
And it's like, even though I was 9 years old when it came out, for years after though, the impact of Mean Girls was so apparent in pop culture. Yeah. Like, Fetch was being said by everyone. On Wednesdays we wear pink. The plastics, you can't sit with us. She doesn't even go here. Yeah. Like, so much of that film is so... And if you ask, I remember, Rhiannon would say the same thing, but I just remember I did talk to girls growing up. Pete, I don't know if you know this.
Nick.
I wasn't a ladies' man, but I was able to talk to girls, and it was fucking terrifying. Is that every chick I talked to, every girl I talked to was like, oh, Mean Girls is the most quotable movie of all time. Whereas, like, my argument is like, no, Hot Rod is the most quotable movie of all time. But like, or Napoleon Dynamite. But like, for a girl in high school or anyone who was into chick flicks in high school, Mean Girls was the one. However, there was a movie that now I've seen it, which I hadn't seen before, I think is laid the foundation so Mean Girls could run.
So I was
glad we did it on the show.
So I was like 18, 19 when Mean Girls came out.
Okay. That's still like a perfect age to see that movie.
And also, this is a gay 19.
This is a gay...
So Mean Girls...
as opposed to a confused 19.
So Mean Girls was like, oh my God. Like, this is... So, I mean, I love teen films. I love chick flicks. I love teen chick flicks.
Do you know what's so funny? Like, even me in high school, I was like, I love the chick flick. And I think there was two reasons. I think it's because then I would get girls to like me.
Right.
But I was also like, I get why people love these.
Yeah.
They're funny.
Yeah.
Sometimes they're pretty sexy. But overall, they make you feel really happy. And they make you believe in love.
They do.
And I grew up loving them. 27 Dresses is one of my favorite movies growing up. Because it's fucking funny.
It's really funny.
It's really funny. So I get it. But I mean, I was straight, Pete, and there was no chance.
Wait. Was?
There was no chance.
2024 manifesting. No, but so yes.
I couldn't tell people I was watching chick flicks.
No, that's fair.
That was my closet.
Your thing would be like, I swear it's porn. It's so much worse to be watching a chick flick.
So much worse.
Like,
I was hiding porn around the house, and my parents would find that over my DVD copy of 27 Dresses.
They're like, are you jacking it to Katherine Heigl in 27 Dresses?
Yeah.
You're like, I love the 7 Dress so much. But yeah, so Mean Girls was like, I was all for it.
Totally, yeah.
But as you said, 9 years earlier.
Yeah, 95, the year I was born.
Oh, fuck you. So I would have been like 10 or 11 when this movie came out. We'll say the movie. It's called Clueless.
Yes, Alicia Silverstone.
Alicia Silverstone, when she became like, holy shit, this is Alicia Silverstone. But I saw this movie. Guess how many fucking times that I saw this movie in cinemas? In cinemas.
Was it 5 times in cinemas? No. Yeah, 7. Wow. And you know what? Don't blame you.
But also,
I don't blame you.
Think about, so you watch this movie as an adult and you go, some risky humor.
Oh, the whole film is risky, but you're 10
years old. And my mum took me. My mum took me.
Funny.
Because, like, I loved going to the movies. Yep. It was like, the movie looks funny.
Stories of you and your mum going to the movies together when you're a kid are lovely. Yeah, they're quite nice.
Because it's also like, she has really good taste in movies.
That too.
But yeah, so I went, but then because even though it was rated M in Australia,
right,
you didn't have to be 15.
No, and
it's recommended for people who are 15.
I saw plenty of M-rated films.
But if you were
like
under
10,
15,
11.
You can technically go by yourself. It's MA that you couldn't.
Yeah, that was 15 plus.
But so I went and saw Clueless 7 more times.
There we go. I mean, I get it because...
And fuck, this movie was quoted.
Oh, I can imagine, because it is funny as hell.
Yes.
It is so funny. It's rapidly paced.
Yeah.
It is a fast movie. But I think as well, because it is so heightened, it is so over the top. It's kind of like, it almost feels too real at times. Like the high school experience is captured so perfectly, because I was sitting there watching it now as an almost 30-year-old man. Oh God, Pete, I'm so old. Yeah. I was watching it and being like, removed from high school for like almost 12 years now, and being like, oh my God, that's the exact same. And that was high school for me 12 years ago.
Yeah.
And then another 15 years on top of that, you know what I mean? Like, it's absolutely mental. So I had a lot of fun with Clueless. Just wait until you hear what I
I'm so happy.
And then, so we did Clueless because I think as we said on the Wonka episode as well, we were interested in being like, okay, well, that's a high school chick flick from the 90s. Then you got Mean Girls, which is the noughties.
Yep.
And then we were kind of thinking, what's like another quintessential
2010s
high school film? And it was a no-brainer. It was Booksmart.
Yeah.
Olivia Wilde's directorial debut.
The only other one I would have thought of, Easy A.
Very good point. Easy A is a very good film.
Easy A is fucking incredible.
I think I also wanted an excuse to watch Booksmart again.
I also watched Easy A like not too long ago.
Okay, well, that's all right.
So I was like,
it's a good excuse to watch
So,
Booksmart.
and like rewatching Booksmart, fuck me.
2019 film, Olivia Wilde's directorial debut, Beanie Feldstein, Caitlin Dever. That movie is amazing. It was amazing when it came out.
It is so... it is so annoyingly good.
It is so but to me, it absolutely captured the energy of Clueless as well.
Oh yeah,
it's frantic, it's funny, but Clueless definitely has meaningful moments. But I'm also not watching it to be emotionally moved by the end of it.
No.
Booksmart gets me for that last Booksmart is fantastic.
Yeah.
So that was the 3. We were like the quintessential high school chick flick films: Clueless, Mean Girls 2004, Booksmart. That was our road leading to all things Mean Girls 2024.
Yeah.
And it's a nice kind of eclectic, it's like an eclectic bunch of films in a sense that like Clueless is the satirical high school comedy. Mean Girls has elements of satire, but actually kind of is more about the emotional and psychological side of high school experience.
Yeah.
And then Booksmart is still fucking funny, but it's
and
the
it's
emotional experience.
Probably like, I feel like this, it's like kind of like the satire drops from each film and the emotion increases from each film.
Which is great because I think they all complement each other for a pretty
really
fun triple feature.
It's a case of you can't have Booksmart without having Mean Girls and Clueless.
And then you can't have Mean Girls without having Clueless, right? Yeah. So was cautious going into this because I didn't know what I was going to think of.
I didn't verbalize this.
Right.
I was terrified of you watching Clueless because it is like it is one of like
your favorite.
It's like one of my favorite.
I'm going to rip
movies
I'm going to
of
rip
all
the
time.
Band-Aid now.
Okay, rip it.
Critic score on Rotten Tomatoes is 81%.
I'm happy with that.
Audience is 76.
Yeah, okay.
It's pretty well received.
That's pretty well received.
I gave it a 4.5 out of 5.
Yes, Nick.
It is fucking amazing.
Yes.
Like Clueless is that funny.
Woo!
But I was like, I had no idea what I was going into.
Yeah.
And I watched it with Rihanna. We watched it on, I think, like the third. We just got back from our time away for Christmas.
Yeah.
And we were just sitting down and I was like, okay, we're going to watch these.
Had Rhiannon seen it?
Rhiannon seen it.
Okay.
And I was sitting there and within the first 5 minutes, like I was pissing myself laughing. And then she was like, I had no idea you would find this funny.
No, because that's what
gold.
That's why I was like, I don't want to hype this up. I don't want to talk about how much I love it. Obviously, I would have spoken about it on this show.
Yeah.
But I didn't want to lean in it because there was that part of me that was like, he might hate this. And then and then it's awkward.
Loved it.
I have so many moments in this film that I just
I'm letting you steer this shit because like it was like it got me at the beginning. Kids in America, tune, sign me the fuck up.
Tune.
But I think one of the reasons I really did like it is because seeing the parody sort of versions of it in Scary Movie. I loved. I thought I was like, oh, this is exactly like what Scary Movie is taking the piss out of.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, okay, so maybe it'll make fun of it. And then I'm like, oh no, Clueless is taking the piss out of itself. And I'm a big fan of like movies that are so self-aware and don't take themselves too seriously. And like Clueless is that.
Yeah. There are so many so obviously this film like golden dialogue and delivery, but it has
everything is delivered with such sincerity.
But there are so many like rewatching it. There are so many little tiny just like throwaway lines like the way that like one of my favorite things, and I was like, and I don't really know how many people find it funny.
Yeah.
And it could be because it's Alicia Silverstone's delivery.
Okay.
But it's like when she's in the car with Paul Rudd. Also,
Paul
Rudd, who
little high voice before the testes dropped. Paul Rudd.
He's
a heartthrob.
He's so cute in this movie.
His little smile at everything. I'm like, I get it.
Yeah.
He's a little cutie pie. Yeah.
But yeah, they're in the car and she's driving him to college.
Yep.
And he's like, they're talking about, and he's like, we might even get Marky Mark to plant a celebrity tree. And Alicia Silverstone's line, how she's like, oh, how fabulous getting Marky Mark to take time out of his busy pants dropping schedule to pie. And then she's like, and then just the way that she goes, Josh, why don't you just hire a gardener? That just kills me because it's just the correlation between like dropping his pen, and then she's
because
like,
her name's also Cher,
which
is great. Like Cher. That's gotta be
the way that because so it's Cher, and so obviously after Cher, and then her friend Dion, who is I've named after Dion Warwick, and then she's like, we're named after famous singers from the 80s who now do infomercials, which like obviously they could never predict that Dion Warwick and Cher would still be quite relevant
today,
but just. Oh, it's
perfect.
It's so as you said, since like
Alicia
there's a lot of
Silverstone, man.
There is some kind of mean bitchiness to it, but it's so sincere that it's like I saw where someone wrote about main girls in teen movies that are actually like the villains,
right?
And someone put Cher, and I was like, she's fucking not.
No, because she's.
I was like, she's vapid and she's airheady.
She's
but I was
a product of her environment.
But I was like, yeah, she's like
look at her father.
Yeah, but also I was like, but she's like she wants to do
good,
and her idea of good is very far 100%. Removed.
I don't think she was a villain at all because she's the one as well. Unlike Regina George later on. Yeah. Who actually sees more errors in her ways earlier on.
Yeah.
So, but I think Alicia Silverstone is perfect.
This is where
she
like
perfect in this film.
It's so annoying watching this, realizing why didn't you become a massive star?
Yes, totally. Especially, and then even though it's not as regarded, she is in Batman and Robin. Like she is in a massive superhero franchise too. So like
she just unfortunately
it just fell to the wayside. But she's great in the film.
I just want to quickly...
Yeah, please.
So there is an alternate universe of casting for this film.
Go.
So obviously Alicia Silverstone couldn't be any better. But because the studio was like, do we want someone who's maybe had a bit more experience in film? Because
Right,
Alicia Silverstone had only done an Aerosmith music video
Wow. Okay.
and had been in a movie called The Crush,
okay.
where she's like a babysitter and Carrie Elves is like
Carrie
is
Elves,
like
fuck
obsessed
me.
with her.
Okay.
But anyway, so they were like, we like Alicia Silverstone, but let's keep casting open because we might so Reese Witherspoon.
Nah. And I can see it.
You can see it.
I can totally
But then I
see
also
it, yeah.
think if Reese Witherspoon did Clueless, I don't think we would have gotten Legally Blonde.
Very good
Well, we
point.
wouldn't have
actually.
got Reese Witherspoon
Reese
or
Witherspoon
Legally
in it,
Blonde.
but still.
So yeah,
I get it.
so Reese Witherspoon as Cher.
Yep.
Sarah Michelle Gellar was offered the role of Amber.
Right.
So the really bitchy,
real bitchy girl.
friend,
Yeah.
She turned it down,
Interesting. Okay.
and Zoe Deschanel auditioned for that role.
Oh my god.
Yeah. Also, before little Paul Rudd, who
Little
also
Powell Rude.
film debut in this.
Yeah, that's crazy to think about because then he went on to do Halloween 4.
Yeah. So
Curse of Michael
Paul,
Myers.
so before Paul Rudd,
Yeah.
Ben Affleck,
Young
and
Affleck.
and Zach Braff
Zach Braff would have been a
for the
baby.
role of Josh.
Oh my god! And Ben Affleck before Dazed and or just after Dazed and
Just after
Confused,
Dazed
I
and
think.
Confused.
Interesting.
And we look at the
this
role.
would have been a
Yeah.
absolute vehicle for anyone involved.
So then, instead of Donald Faison for Murray,
Love it.
Terrence Howard,
Okay, yeah, sure.
Dave
sure.
Chappelle,
Holy fuck!
right? And then for Christian,
Yep.
little cake boy Christian,
Little cake boy Christian.
Jeremy Renner.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. I thought this cast was stacked
This
already.
cast was stacked already.
And then you think about who else could have been
and then
like,
you look
oh
at those
my
and be like,
fucking
yeah,
God.
at one point they were all actors on their way up as well.
Jesus
you know?
Christ. I mean, I think they've perfected it.
They
by the way.
perfected it with who they got. But can you just
Because-
it's just weird
just
to think of
think
this
about that.
like imagine a movie where it's like, oh yeah, it's just Ben Affleck and Reese Witherspoon and Jeremy Renner and Sarah Michelle Gellar and Dave Chappelle. Like,
Do you remember that high school film they did
Yeah.
in the 90s? And it's
Yeah.
like, fuck.
Yeah.
That is still culturally relevant, which is still standing the test of time. Culturally relevant is funny as well because obviously this is a product of the 90s.
So
And
much
Rhiannon
so.
was like, oh my God, you probably couldn't make this now. And my argument is you could. You
know what?
absolutely could because it is so satirical.
Yeah.
It's so satirical
Yeah.
on what it's and it never once actually makes fun or bullies anyone.
That's the thing.
Despite it, like its stance on certain
we look
things,
at it
right?
as like so all the things of like, oh my God, like having phones just
Yeah.
on like at when
Yeah,
they
yeah.
all ring at dinner and they all pick it up.
all
I
pick
was
up
like,
their phones. Yeah,
everybody
yeah.
has their phones on them. The fact that this movie, like, so they obviously when she's trying to seduce Christian,
Yes.
and she's unaware that he's gay,
Yes.
and when you know that he's
So
gay,
fucking funny.
like obviously kind of on
The audience picks up earlier that he's
yeah,
gay.
yeah.
Yeah.
But and then knowing that he's gay and he's like, he's doing nothing wrong.
No,
He's
no.
like, I just want to hang out with my best girlfriend.
Yeah,
And
totally.
she's like, but I want to fuck you.
And the
But
movie,
like-
I feel like the movie plays it. Oh, my JB package is here. I'll be
Oh.
back.
Are we just going to cut this?
Yeah. It's my regular mail, man. How exciting. How goddamn exciting. Boxing Day sales, Christmas Day sales
good.
coming delivered to the house.
We've probably just done like a weird, like, whoop.
Weird little cut for you.
But like the fact that even though there is a scene where, she realizes he's gay and Murray is like, he's a cake boy. He's a Streisand ticket holder friend of Dorothy. But they
still funny,
But it's like,
like-
and I'm like, you know what? Of course, like a very dominant alpha masculine guy would think it's funny, but he's not actually laughing at
No.
Christian being gay. He's laughing at the fact that she tried to seduce the gay man.
guy, yeah.
And then she's like, he then becomes one of her best friend. And there's never like, no one ever makes fun of the fact that he's gay.
No one's ever like, why are you friends with a gay guy?
Yeah,
It was
and like you imagine the dialogue in 1995 could have been really derogatory.
well, absolutely, because they still dropping the R word.
Yeah.
in the film. But like again, it was just a time in which
And
no one was
and it's
really
never- And again, and it's never said in a way that like you're a
exactly.
R-word.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say.
No, absolutely not.
You're an R-word. It's just very like, oh my God, I'm such an R-word.
Yeah. So it's in the sense of like, it could be absolutely made now because it's just as culturally relevant because for the exact same reasons.
Yeah.
It's never once punching down on anyone.
No. And look at it. Like we have Anyone But You out in the cinemas now. And that's based on Much Ado About Nothing by Shakespeare.
Yes.
Clueless, based on Emma by Jane Austen.
That seemed to be a common thread with the like 90s and early 2000s.
Yeah, we had like, you know, like 10 Things I Hate About You was based on Taming of the Shrew.
Yes.
She's the Man is based on...
I can't remember which one, but
maybe
I know it's
that's
based,
Taming of the Shrew as
maybe
well.
that's Taming of the Shrew. 10 Things I Hate About You could be... Is that Taming of the Shrew?
I think that's Taming of the Shrew because Julia Stiles is the Shrew.
So it's great. It's like narrative foundations for sure. But I think all in all... Well, I mean, Clueless itself, though, like obviously it's about Cher and her vapidness and her need and desire to ultimately control everything in the school as well. Like because she's just a go-getter.
Yeah.
She's just like her father, who, as someone, obviously as like a straight guy coming into this film, my favorite character is the dad.
Right.
Because he's funny as fuck.
The funny, like one of the lines that never fails to make me laugh from him.
Yeah.
When
is when Christian comes over. Okay.
That one's good. Yeah. But like when Ty comes over and she's like, "This is my friend Ty," and he's like, "Get out of my chair."
That's right.
That just cracks me up every time because it's just though there's no like hello first. It's just like get out of my chair.
I love when Christian comes over. And they're all under the assumption it's for the date.
Yeah.
But he's like, Christian's like, you know, he's well dressed. He's very well dressed. He's got the tight white t-shirt, slicked back hair. He's got the dress pants on. Yeah. And he's like, what, you think because Sammy Davis is dead, you can join the Rat Pack? I was like,
and then that when Alicia Silverstone comes down, and also like she is so fucking gorgeous in this movie.
Oh God, yeah. Oh,
and she comes down in this like the little white dress, and he's like, "What's that?" And she's like, "A dress." He's like, "Says who?" And she's like, "Calvin Klein." He's like, "Put something over it." And she's like, "I was just going to." And then she grabs a see-through white jacket to put over it. And I was like, I just love that little detail where she's like, "I'm going to put on a jacket, don't worry." And it doesn't. And then when they get in the car, and he's like, "Do you like Billie Holiday?" And she's like, "I love him.
I love him."
Like, there are so many little tiny lines, and then he just like looks at her like, "Okay."
I've written heaps of them down that I just fucking love. Like Paul Rudd's like, shared to Paul Rudd's character. He's like, "I want to do something good for civilization." He's like, "How about sterilization?" It's so mean. And then, or when they say when they're talking about Cher's virginity, she's like, "I'm hymenally challenged." I was losing it. It's so well written.
And then she's
Amy heckling. Oh, great script.
And then when they're in the car, like Paul Rudd picks Alicia Silverstone up because she's been robbed at gunpoint.
Yeah, that's right.
She's like, this is like,
and she doesn't want to get on the grounds during getting robbed at gunpoint.
And
so
they're in the car, and like he's talking to like that like really obnoxious college girl, and then. How she says like what Hamlet says, and then she's like, actually, Hamlet didn't say that. She's like, that Polonius guy did. She's like, I think I remember Hamlet accurately. And she's like, I remember Mel Gibson accurately. I was like, oh.
It's so
and then a nice callback where he's like, you look like Pippi Longstocking, and she's like, you look like Forrest Gump. And, and then she's like, who's Pippi Longstocking? And he's like, someone Mel Gibson never played. And she's like, you're funny. Oh my God.
It's such a great script. It is such a great script.
Also, I just want to quickly say, because it's really sad.
Obviously, yeah, totally. Brittany Murphy no longer with us.
She's so adorable in this movie.
But she's perfect in the role as well. Yeah. Like no one is giving this movie less than 100%.
No.
And Brittany Murphy is great.
And she has some great little like.
This would have been early for her.
This was like, I think this was like her second movie, but like the first time people were like, oh, Brittany Murphy.
Yeah.
Obviously, I don't know if people don't know, it's sad because I think it was like 2009 she passed away.
I think so, yeah.
Under very, very bizarre circumstances.
Yeah.
Trust me, if it's a rabbit hole you're willing to go down, the Brittany Murphy thing is fascinating.
Okay. All right.
I've watched a few documentaries and I'm like, it's really sad and there's so many unanswered questions.
Because I'm a huge fan of her, obviously, in 8 Mile. 8 Mile. I think she's brilliant in 8 Mile.
And it's weird because like this movie, she had like her, I guess in some ways baby fat, like she's she's not fat, but she's she's just fuller.
It's one of those,
And then she became quite typically Hollywood, where she like lost heaps of weight, got blonde hair. Like
Yeah.
she changed her image a lot. But everyone is like, she always stayed the sweetest person you can meet. And you can sense her sweetness
in this film, yeah.
Like she's so innocent.
And friendly and willing to give everyone like the benefit of the doubt. Like, and it's so nice.
But
That's
I
why she
love
becomes
that,
friends
like,
with Cher so quick, right?
But I love that when, like, Cher's like, come hang with us because she's the new girl in school, and how she's like, I could really use some kind of like herbal refreshment. And they're just like, oh, we don't have tea, but we've got like Coke. And she's like, no shit, you guys have got Coke
you guys
here.
got Coke?
And then she's like, yeah, this is America. And it's like you realize they're both talking about different
Cokes, right?
Oh, it's so good.
It's just, but this also, as much as it's making fun of the high school experience, I guess, like, because you got like all the hot girls wearing like hot girl PE uniforms and stuff and things like that. It, to me as well, is actually just quite a nice story.
Oh yeah,
and, like, it's actually really sweet
because because it's based around Emma.
Yeah,
so it is like, like Alicia Silverstone is like essentially a matchmaker.
Yes.
And we
see that early on with her teachers.
Yeah, so she
can negotiate better grades.
I love that. He's like, you telling me that you argued your way from a C+ to an A-?
And then she's like, yeah. And he's like, I'd be more proud of the A+.
If they were based on real grades.
Yeah, that's right. God, the dad's
so she
like
wants the two teachers to get together, and then when she is friends with Ty, she's like, oh, we can get Ty together with Elton, who's played by Jeremy Sisto.
Who is a heartthrob. Holy shit, I forgot how hot he was as a guy.
He likes Cher.
Yes.
But she's like, no, you're just my friend.
Yeah.
And then he there's the
Valley Party.
So then there's the scene where he kind of like attempts to like sexually assault her.
Yeah, totally.
And then and she is very much like,
she's known.
and it's like great to be like a movie in the 90s where a girl is like, get off of me,
but
and
also
then actually gets out of the car.
And then calls it out in her voiceover. She was like, I was just sexually harassed.
Yeah.
Like, it's a movie that, like you said, for the 90s, you kind of like,
like they could have made her the victim. Or
could have just made her be like, okay, you're hot, I guess I will. Like that's the typical cop out.
Like,
of all
it's funny how
films.
she's like, get off of me, and then she gets out of the car and she's all like, oh, like just no. And then
she's like, she's grossed out by it, and rightfully so.
Gunpoint situation, and it's like she like kind of flips back to being vapid because she's just like, I'm not getting down on the ground because I don't want to ruin my dress,
and it works. Yeah, it works so well. Yeah. And I guess the whole being Emma thing as well is that Brittany Murphy's character comes in as the new girl, and Cher's just like, we want to make you one of us.
Yeah.
And it's like the back and forth that Ty has because of it. You know what I mean? Like, she's like,
Ty almost becomes like,
a worse version of Cher, and it's Cher calls it out. She's like, Cher calls it out. I was like, I've created a monster. You know what I mean? So there's a nice story about self-acceptance and being who you are and being honest to your true self and whatnot, and how people will accept you regardless.
Like, and I will say, Ty, Brittany Murphy, gets one of the harshest harshest burns in this movie.
Yeah, absolutely.
To Cher when she says, you're a virgin who can't drive.
Yeah.
That is...
As a high schooler.
That is harsh. Yeah. And as she says, she's like, that was way harsh, Ty. And then she's like, whatever. I'm just like, I'm out. She's like, I'm outie. Like, it's very like, okay. Like, and we also look at the fact that this is the movie that gave us whatever with the things and as if. Like, as if.
That's so funny.
That's continually been used as a phrase.
Yes.
And this movie really popularized
I mean, that's kind of fun to know because I just grew up with as if being a thing. So
like, which
Clueless leading the way.
makes, there's a joke in Scream that I don't know if you entirely picked up on, but like Randy says, Matthew Lillard says as if, and then Randy goes, oh really, Alicia?
Well, no, I have to watch it again now.
Because he's like, Alicia Silverstone, as if.
Interesting.
Like, hey.
There we go. Well, I mean, like, heaps of references in this as well. 2001 Space Odyssey reference with the phone.
Oh, so good.
Great reference.
So good.
Love that. I love that this film is chaotic in its pacing, but like we get things like the freeway scene when they drive onto the freeway accidentally, which was just a great 2-minute random bit, but fucking hilarious.
I love how...
It's so good.
like just Donald Faison and Stacey Dash just paying off each other.
They're good.
How he like you get and she's like, I'm not trying to hear that. Like just very,
or he keeps calling her a woman and she's like, stop being so fucking misogynistic.
And then he's like,
baby, I wouldn't be misogynist. And she's like,
yeah. But like in the freeway scene, you can see when they're in the car and like they're screaming, you can see Alicia Silverstone when they pull off, she tries not to laugh.
Yeah.
She like opens her mouth and you can see it smile, and then she's like, oh, and then you can be like, I'm guessing that's the only take that they can use.
They're funny as fuck together. But
then after that, she's like, Dion's virginity went from technical to non-existent. So you realize, oh, they had because they were like their life flashed before their eyes.
I want to call out though one of the most underrated parts of the film, I think, and that's Breckenmeyer.
Oh, I'd like to thank the workers at McDonald's for making the little egg McMuffins. I might never be tardy.
I love that they have that in the class, the tardies, which is like coming to class late and not
coming at all.
Not in the derogatory term.
Yeah.
Like,
so when they say we're doing it's tardiness, and I love
he got like 36 or something. Yeah. And he's super proud.
And then he gets up and has a speech, and you can see Wallace Shawn, who's so great as
Wallace Shawn.
Mr. Hall.
Wallace Shawn, if you don't know, is the inconceivable guy from Princess Bride. He's great in the film. I love that, and I love that Cher gets 2 and she still manages to negotiate her way out of 1. And then she's like, "Well, I had my women's time in the month."
He's just like, "I was serving the crimson wave."
I
had to haul ass to the lady. He's like, "I assume you're talking about women's troubles, and so I will let that one slide."
But the Breckenmeyer one that I love so much is that he gets a bad grade and then he's like, oh no, he's like, don't try and commit suicide in my classroom, and he's like going to jump out the window.
Also, when he brings
so good.
So Alicia Silverstone at a point in the movie where she's kind of like feels like she's not helping as much, then she decides to help this sort of like Pismo Beach disaster where there's like like a title, like a
it was a tsunami or something, yeah.
So she's giving away everything. She like brings that ski equipment. She's like, Daddy, people lost everything. Don't you think that includes athletic equipment? But then she's doing like a canned food drive and stuff. Yeah. And then Breckenmeyer comes in and brings her the bong. And she's like, I guess kitchenware? And he's like, that's where I used to keep it. And he's so proud of it.
It's such a great script. Like Amy Heckerling wrote such a fantastic script.
Wow. That's never happened before.
We got these alerts coming through.
Oh my God, it's an Amber Alert.
It's not an Amber Alert.
I was doing that because there's a character in the movie called Amber. That's the
It's so well written, but then it's performed with such sincerity.
Yeah.
And then it's just the perfect piss take of high school culture.
And
it is so funny.
And then I think one of the bits that I love the most is Cher's Haitians speech.
Oh my God, yeah.
But
the Haitians.
She pronounced it Haitians.
Yeah.
And because Alicia Silverstone thought that's how you pronounced it. So she got up there and did it, and they were just like,
that's hilarious.
They were like, let her go with it.
It works. It works.
And which is
so
why
well.
There are some people which is why there's almost more of a reaction of like,
what is she saying?
The fuck? And I was like, she's just so proud of this speech.
I love it.
And manages to somehow make their conflict to do with the fact that she had to add more people to her father's 50th birthday dinner. It's so bizarre how
we got to think of all the people cooking.
Like it's so bizarre how the correlation how her mind works, but then you look at it and just go, it makes perfect sense.
It's like a level of genius.
Yeah.
It's just so
like you're almost so
smart you're dumb almost.
Or
to be
you're
honest.
so dumb that you're smart.
It does. She manages to pull off both. Yeah. So. But if
my God,
I loved it.
I'm so happy you liked it.
I loved it
because this was the one movie that I was like,
you were a bit fair because hadn't seen
because
it.
It's
a product of the 90s.
It is a product of the 90s, and you almost have to be like it was one of those things like growing up with this movie, and then appreciating it more over time. Obviously there were jokes that I didn't quite get as a 10-year-old that you rewatch and go, and be like, why was I allowed to watch this?
And you still laughed at it. That's the best part. So I loved it. But it is, to me, this is absolutely the foundational high school chick flick. Like this is every single high school film that comes out from now and from 1995 until the end of time.
Till the end of time.
Needs to use Clueless as their foundation because I don't think you are getting better than that. I genuinely don't. And Mean Girls definitely tried.
Mean Girls tried.
Mean Girls 2004 definitely tried. And Mean Girls 2004 is not a bad movie.
Mean Girls
It's actually quite funny and it's quite good.
Great.
But I think I also made the mistake of watching it directly after Clueless.
Right.
So I liked Mean Girls. I liked Mean Girls.
I did Mean Girls first, and then I watched Clueless because it'd been a while since I'd watched Clueless.
Yeah.
But oh my God, I was watching this and I was just
going back.
I was verbalizing with this movie. I was literally just
saying you were doing the film.
Yeah.
But Mean Girls is a critic score of 84%.
Yeah.
Very well regarded.
Yeah.
Audience is 66 though.
Wow.
Lower than I thought.
Yeah.
Considering
the cultural imprint this has
on the film. But as we said, similar to the one that's coming out next week, written by Tina Fey, based on a non-fiction book, by the way.
Queen
Bees and Wannabes.
Queen Bees and Wannabes, yeah.
And it's like one of those ones where I think Tina Fey read this thing and was like, oh my God, this is like a perfect summation of the high school environment. Let's make about how what parents think their kids are up to. It's like, well, let's make a film that is what the kids are kind of up to, but in a very comedic, almost SNL style.
Yeah, well, she took it to Lorne Michaels, who is the producer of Saturday Night Live.
Who is pretty much head honcho of comedy in New York, I guess.
Yeah. Made the movie and
another Paramount
production, yes.
Same as Clueless.
Yeah.
All over it. But yeah, this is obviously having grown up knowing the cultural impact of Mean Girls as well. Clueless as well, because Clueless was definitely talked about. But Mean Girls was the it movie of the noughties, right?
Yeah.
So I was totally aware.
I was there through both Clueless and Mean Girls. At perfect ages, right? Being considered
the quintessential high school films.
Yeah.
This is still very funny, but like we were saying earlier, it has the satirical elements, but a lot earlier on. And probably towards the end as well, when what happens to Regina George.
Yeah, when Katie, Lindsay Lohan, is sort of first introduced to the school and she's picked up by Janice and Damien, Lizzie Kaplan and Daniel Franzese.
Yes.
And she's sort of shown the hierarchy of the school where everyone sits, and it's sort of the cliques, unfriendly Asian hotties,
and then the Asian nerds sit next to each other,
the sexually active band geeks,
overly sexually active band geeks,
the JV jocks, the varsity jocks, and then
the plastics,
the best people you ever meet, which is Janice and Damien, and then the worst, which is the plastics. So very early on, it does
establish the high school hierarchy.
And it leans into that sort of elevated, mentality of. And
you've got students talking. They do fourth wall breaks to the camera. Talking about what they think about Regina George, who is Rachel McAdams, who is the hot popular girl.
Yeah.
Who Rachel McAdams hot in general, but very hot in this film.
Also,
love Rachel McAdams.
Going back to the alternate universe of Clueless.
Yes, please.
We have an alternate universe of Mean Girls.
Okay, hit me.
So, Lindsay Lohan wanted to be Regina George.
Interesting, because she's so good as Katie.
And they said, we think...
Or Caddy, as people call it.
It's kind of ironic. They were like, we don't think people will believe you as the bad girl.
Interesting.
And at that point in time,
that was the turning point.
But in that point in time, I get it. She's coming off a Freaky Friday. She's
Disney girl.
She's America's sweetheart.
She's Disney girl.
And then they saw Rachel McAdams and were like, Rachel McAdams being such a sweet person, they said this makes Regina George that much better because she was so sweet that she got away with being such a bitch.
Yeah.
And they were like,
it works well.
And Rachel McAdams went in for the role of Katie.
Interesting, okay.
And they were like, you look too old to be Katie.
Okay. Yeah.
And then they said Lindsay Lohan was intimidated by Rachel McAdams. So they were like, we want that.
Perfectly.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Mary Elizabeth Winstead was asked to be Gretchen Wieners.
Okay. So Lacey Chabot's character.
Yeah, but Mary Elizabeth Winstead's mother didn't like the script and then said... I
guess you got to listen to your parents, eh?
But also, maybe listen to your kid because
imagine that. I mean, look, Mary Elizabeth Winstead's fine.
Yeah.
She's had a illustrious career of fantastic roles, so yes.
What the fuck is going on? Jesus. And they thought Lizzie Kaplan was too beautiful to be Janice.
I mean,
But Lizzie
but why did it's funny because like why did Janice have to be ugly then?
But Lizzie Kaplan was like, no. I'm going to prove
Also,
to you
Lizzie
that
Kaplan, fantastic
she's so
in this
fucking
film.
good in
Yeah,
this movie.
absolutely fantastic.
Evan Rachel Wood couldn't do a role, didn't say which one.
Okay.
She couldn't do one, and she said it's the biggest regret she has of her career.
Do you reckon it's Amanda Seyfried's role?
I could see Evan Rachel Wood as I could also see her as Katie.
As Katie, yeah, true.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Yeah.
And Amanda Seyfried, like Paul Rudd and Clueless, first movie.
And so fucking funny.
And she came in auditioned
if you're from Africa, why are you white?
Oh my God, you can't just ask people why they're white.
That's so good. You can't ask people why they're white.
She auditions to be Regina.
Okay.
And they were like, we loved how doe-eyed she is.
So
and they said that worked for Karen.
So fucking funny.
Yeah. And
my nipples can tell when it's going to rain. It's like I have ESPN or something.
And this would have been like in 2004, this would have made sense, but it would have probably tainted the movie a bit with the original choice of Aaron Samuels.
Right, who is Jonathan
Bennett, who came in quite last minute.
Okay, Jonathan Tucker.
James Franco.
I see that. Like post-Freaks and Geeks sort of.
I see it, but also like I'm kind of glad it didn't.
Yeah, totally, because obviously
we didn't know what James Franco was,
was up to, or was going to get up to.
But again, this movie's perfectly cast.
Perfectly cast.
It's just always funny to look at like what could have
been. And then you've got other perfect casting in Tina Fey as
Miss Norbury.
Miss Norbury. And then Tim Meadows as the principal,
who has a cast on his arm.
Yes.
And he says, my carpal tunnel came back, which is funny. But he did it because he'd actually broken his arm and they were like, fuck it, we just need a reason. So that's why they were
great line in the film.
Carpal tunnel come back.
How was your summer? Oh, my carpal tunnel came back. Oh, I got divorced. Oh, you win, I guess.
Yes, you do. And Amy Poehler as Rachel McAdams' mother.
Iconic role. It's so she's so funny. It's like, Mom, why don't you go do your hair or something? It's like, oh, your girls are always looking out for me. It's like, no,
she's like,
fuck off.
She's like, I'm not a regular mom. I'm a fun mom.
That's the little bit where she pops the bum out. Like, I'm a fun mom.
And how she's like, is there any alcohol in this? And she's like, oh God, honey, no, I'd never do that. But do you want some? I'd rather you drink at the house.
But it's perfect. It again encapsulates the general, like, everyone knows this high school experience, even though it's almost 10 years later and there is differences, in regards to, it's more about the catty, psychotic nature of high school and the desire to be popular instead of just accepting yourself, which is definitely a part of the film later on. It's more about the meanness of high school, which is why it's called Mean Girls.
Like, you could almost be like, all right, like Cher and I guess Regina are the similar, and then you have Ty and Katie, except Cher brings Ty in and just wants to make her over so that she can help with her like confidence.
Yes, totally, yeah.
Whereas Katie comes in,
plastics
and is like,
are recruiting to grow their army.
Katie kind of infiltrates her way in through I guess like quite a mean little plan because Janice wants to destroy.
That's right,
Regina George. Because
Katie is like,
she's like the
you would say stooping down to Regina George's level a little bit, But it's funny.
And like unintentionally she then is like, oh my God, I understand why Regina loves this position because everyone is so afraid of
popularity and power and stuff.
Yeah.
And I think it's so smart to have Katie's character come from a homeschooling environment in Africa in a completely culturally different society because she comes to an American high school and has no idea what most of the customs are.
How she said
she's just like nice to everyone.
How she's like, I went to go to the bathroom and I had to ask for a pass. For permission. And she asked for it and he's like, sit down.
She's like, no.
She's like, I saw African American people and I said hello to them and they looked at me like, why would I talk to them?
Exactly. So like, she has to adopt a survival tactic which is kind of what I think is kind of great about the story of the film is that it's just like, what do you need to do to survive high school?
Yeah.
Who do you need to become that's a completely different person? Yeah. It's just done in a very funny way.
On that.
Very funny way.
What was Nick like at high school?
Oh, dude. As much as it is... I was a weird mix of I was the everyone's friend. I was good at adapting to a lot of crowds, but I was a jock. I was a sporty guy. I was in like the first 15 rugby team, captain of it too. No, like I was captain of our rugby team but I was the movie guy as well. Like I loved movies and shit, and I was like nerding out about film.
The little, I was like the little gay boy me is like hot, capital 14, hot, so fucking hot.
I mean, like back in the day, I was.
And you're like,
I was fucking jacked.
Like you would have wanted to fuck me, Pete.
Everyone wanted to fuck me. But I was also like, I was the kid who'd get up like on assembly. I was never school captain because I was too disruptive. I was like a class clown too.
Right.
I was far too disruptive for me to have any position of power outside of a sporting team.
Yeah.
But like then I was the one who's going up and like doing speeches and stuff, and you know, I was popular, but I didn't love the pop. I didn't like use the popularity because I was just like, I'm just fucking hate school, to be honest. Like,
I'm just Nick.
I almost dropped out in year 10. Like I almost left high school. Yeah.
Wow.
And I almost failed year 12 English because I just didn't get, and now I write.
That's weird.
It's weird, right?
Yeah,
so,
right.
but it's because I didn't apply myself. What about you, Pete? What were you like in high school?
I guess I was kind of an everyman. There could be some really funny joke, but I'm not going to say it.
I was an everyman, and I wanted to be in every man.
Or I wanted every man to be in me. So I like. So primary school, I had a lot more confidence than I did in high school.
Okay.
High school, I didn't like myself.
Right.
I was hair.
Yeah.
No hair.
Right.
Stick thin.
It's gone.
Like I was completely. I was
You've
like,
done
I'm gonna go bald. I was like,
it.
I'm gonna shave my head. I'm gonna have a beard. I'm gonna get fat. Yay. Well, not fat, thick.
You know. That's just adult.
So yeah, I had friends with, I guess, every kind of group.
Right. Yeah.
A lot of it was because there were guys that I'd been at school with from like grade 1 all the way up.
Okay.
So
That's good.
so even though they were probably like
So I went to 2 different primary schools.
So even though
and then a
they were
different high
like
school, yeah.
jocks,
Yeah.
I still knew them, and if
Okay.
I like passed them in the hall or whatever, we would say hello.
Hello.
Like, there
Yeah,
was,
totally.
you know,
Yeah.
I funnily didn't have any bullying issues, which
Okay,
I'm
that's
kind of
good.
surprised at, because even though I wasn't like out in high school, it was probably like a lot of people probably knew.
People were like, Pete's gay.
But yeah, I never had any bullying
That's good.
issues. Everyone was kind of like asked me about what movies to watch because they knew that
How good was being the movie?
they
man?
kind of knew that I would be seeing that stuff. Yeah, like
Did you
there
do
was-
film and TV in high school
so
as well?
I did drama.
Yeah.
I did film and TV.
Yeah.
Um,
Same.
I was actually English was actually what I was really good at.
That makes sense.
Maths and science, no.
No, I hated maths and science.
And even though from in high
I
school,
got kicked out of a maths class to the lowest maths class, so I got 2% on a maths exam.
yeah, I did maths A because I was like, I hate maths.
I hate maths.
And my mum, she was great. She was just like, maths and science is not your thing. History and geography, not my thing either.
No.
She was like, you don't need that.
Who
She's
would
like,
have thought? Us creatives.
right? But she was just like, you're good at. She's like, you're good at creative. Just
Do
focus on
creative
that.
shit,
She's
yeah.
like, I don't care if you fail
Nice.
this, if you
That's
make
good.
it. And I was like, yay, because I said, because I'm not fucking passing any of that shit.
I'm
but
not
yeah,
going to try.
But in high school, obviously, full drama, full
Yeah.
everything.
Film, TV,
But-
all that shit.
Like prior to that, probably like grades 5, 6, 7, cricket,
Hey.
football,
Fuck yeah, Pete.
basketball, tennis.
What did you do in cricket? I'm a huge cricketer. Big cricket fan. You're a
I-
bowler or a batter?
I was a batter.
Okay, I'm a bowler. So we have
God.
differences, I guess.
Or in some ways, we
But
also we complement each other.
I mean, of course, you're good with the bat.
And typical, you're like, yeah, your balls are everything. Right?
I'm good at throwing
Throwing
balls, I guess.
I guess I'm just good at catching.
Catch. Bah.
Hey, let's talk about Mean Girls.
Also, I was going to say, I don't think that shocks anyone that was our high school experiences. You know what I mean?
I don't think you would have been like, well, I was a complete fucking bully. Like, I never would have, like.
I don't know.
But also,
I could have been, though.
I mean,
Who
the thing is,
knows?
though, there was one kid that I went to school with that I did not like, and he did not like me.
Yeah.
And I probably said
Oh, God, yeah.
mean things to him.
I still say things about people.
Because I
now.
was also just like, I was like, fucking. Just,
Yeah, leave me alone.
Leave
Shut
me
up.
alone.
Shut the fuck up.
One at this, I'll just quick tangent. This
Yeah.
this argument with him is so stupid, but it couldn't get my point across. So he was always like, why do you buy movies? And I said,
Right.
because this is the time obviously buying them on DVD.
Was huge. Which is like, probably going to be big soon.
Yay.
Buy up now. The fucking DVD apocalypse is coming.
Yeah, unfortunately. But then I feel like it's going to...
It'll come back.
Yeah, he was like, why do you buy so many movies? And I was like, because I like movies. And then he was like, he's like, yeah, but it's not like me buying my watches. And I was like, okay. And I said, but all of your watches just tell time. And he's
One
like,
thing.
but he was like, yeah, but all of your DVDs play movies. And I said, no, but they play different movies. And he's like, yeah, they're different watches. And I was like, no, yes, but your idea of those things is really fucking stupid, because I said every movie is different. He's like, yeah, every watch is different. I was like, no, every watch is different in design, but it does the same thing. Whereas like every movie, I was like, it's playing a different movie.
Weirdly though, I can see what he's saying.
Yeah.
There's just two different forms, but you hated him. So
I just hated him.
It's
like it was weird. Like when he didn't turn out to be gay, I was shocked.
Wow. Well,
like his insult to me, where he's like, Peter, you're such a hussy, and I was like, how are you not fucking gay? Like, how are you not gay? Like, I'm
hussy.
Yeah, like I would just be like, that's not an insult, and how are you not gay?
But now, I mean,
he's not gay.
He shocked you.
Yeah,
apparently.
I was like,
we never know.
Yeah. Anyway,
fuck, that's funny. But I mean, that's kind of a.
I feel like we would have been friends.
I think we would have been friends. Nice.
Like we probably would have been like, oh my god, like movies, and then we would have gone to the movies.
Probably
like
start a podcast, right?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. Who would have thought? We just had to wait, the 10-year age gap, and
Yeah, actually, we wouldn't have been friends at school because that would have been weird.
Pete was just waiting for me.
Like, that gift behind the guy behind the tree.
Can't wait to talk about movies.
It's like you know that Nick's 8 years old, right? He won't be forever.
Which is just like the PE teacher. And anyway,
actually, great segue.
Just like
don't
the PE
have
teacher
sex
in Mean Girls,
because you will get chlamydia and
you'll die.
Here's some rubbers.
The same sex thing is so fucking funny, and then obviously the reveal about
he's having sex. Trang Pak.
Oh, it's so fucking funny. But this movie, like similar to Clueless, it's Clueless in the sense of like the overall message is about, especially being a teenage girl in high school.
Yeah.
Accepting who you are and not making sure, but like accepting everyone who they are. Everyone's different and everyone's
which that message is then driven home like at the end of the movie
totally.
When everyone and this is so true. What up until like grade 12,
yes,
you do kind of stick with your cliques.
100%.
You have certain ideas of people. And then grade 12 comes and you realize we're all just trying to survive together.
As soon as you leave school, I think especially that first year after high school, you're just kind of like,
none of it meant anything.
None of it meant anything, and no one knows what they're doing.
Yeah.
More so our teachers and our parents, we're all just trying to figure it out.
And then when you realize...
But it's kind of nice.
And then when you realize your teachers weren't like... Some of them weren't that much older than you.
No.
And in your mind, you're like, oh my God, you're 30.
And you're like, oh my God.
And then because I looked back at one of my yearbooks in grade 12 and I was looking at them and I was like, yeah, my PE teacher was only like in his mid-20s. And I was like, that's fucked.
That's crazy. That's
crazy.
It's you know what's so funny about that? I'm not sentimental about high school. Like I have mates still who I'm friends with from high school, but I'm not sentimental about high school at all. I didn't get a senior jersey. Like I purposely said no.
Yeah. Okay.
I didn't get a yearbook because I was kind of like, I came to that realization when I almost dropped out in year 10.
Yeah.
I was like,
well, the yearbook,
I was like, I don't like this.
Yeah. Well, the yearbook was like something that you just like got given. Like you couldn't choose whether or not.
Okay. Maybe we did. Maybe I just said no.
The only I guess sentimental thing was like at the end of year. So at the last day of school.
Yeah.
And then like, we're all going to schoolies like the next day.
My schoolies was fun, I will admit.
We all had our like white senior shirts and everyone kind of was signing it. And do
you still have yours?
And I still have mine.
That's nice.
And I looked at it and was like, how the fuck did I fit into it for one thing? Because I was like, it's fucking tiny. But looking at it, I was like, it's kind of nice when you like some of the people that signed it, I was like,
where are you now?
But also like, we actually like we never really spoke, but it's kind of nice that we.
But again, it's that collective.
And like I've run into people that I've been to school with in the street.
I had my 10-year reunion last year or the year before.
Yeah, like I had my 10-year reunion. People like it was funny. Like everyone was just like, oh, like the movie thing was the fact that I was doing it. People were like, that's fucking cool because you were always the movie guy. So the fact that you're now doing it as a job, they were like, that's awesome.
That's
and I
cool.
was like, oh, thanks. And they were sort of like, what should we
should we
see?
watch?
And I was like, that's really nice.
Yeah.
That they were like, it's so cool to see you do that professionally.
Yeah, totally.
And I'm like, oh wow, you actually took some kind of notice. That's nice.
And I think that's I think that's a lot of people, especially because the main thing is you're a teenager.
Yeah.
And you don't know what the world is.
And also
that's why these such hostile environments are created.
Yeah.
And Mean Girls gets that really right.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's almost like teenagers now just fucking. But anything you think is important now, it's fucking not.
But before the next movie gets that quite well. Like it gets that very well.
Yeah.
Before you get onto that, I just want to point out.
What the fuck is going? You know what? Powering off.
Power off. This movie, as much as it is quite a accurate and confronting is not the right word, but like it's a very, very accurate representation of high school life. It's funny as fuck.
Oh, so funny.
Tim Meadows never fails to make me laugh.
Yeah.
When he's like, this is Caddy. He's like, oh, it's Katie. He's like, oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah.
It's actually quite similar with my nephew, Anthony. His name's Anthony, but sometimes I accidentally call him Anthony, which then they remind me his name's Anthony, which makes me almost as mad as the fact that his name is Anthony. His delivery of it is perfect. He's so fucking funny.
And it's funny how we were saying like the R word being used in Clueless. The R word being how she's like, I was homeschooled. No. That means I'm not.
The R word. Yeah. So again, early 2000s.
Their first
the first plastics.
But
and
like
Katie,
Amanda Seyfried just like staring at her and then being like, if you're from Africa, why are
you can tell she's puzzled the whole scene.
And then the fact that Lacey Chabert is just like, oh my God, you can't just ask people why they're white.
Oh my God.
It's like, oh. Yeah.
But it says so much like there's a Goonies reference in this film.
Yeah.
Which is great.
Yeah.
The ham on the face and he goes, Baby Ruth. And I lost it because I love the Goonies. But it's the iconic lines from this film.
Yeah.
None for Gretchen Wiener. Which is great.
Yeah.
And none for Gretchen Wieners.
Glen Coco, 2 for you, Glen Coco. You go, Glen Coco. You go, Glen Coco is just.
But that's so one of it's like the vernacular that's continued on. She doesn't even go here. So fetch. Stop trying to make fetch happen. It's not going to happen.
And then also one of the other things I love is as again like another little throwaway line where she says oh, is there any boys that you like?
Yes.
And she's like, yeah, Aaron Samuels. She's like, oh no, that's Regina's ex-boyfriend. She's like, that's just like the rules of feminism. Like you can't go after a friend's boyfriend. That's just the rules of feminism.
I also another Tim Meadows bit. I love that the riot starts and they're like,
I did not leave South Central for this.
And he picks up a baseball bat and goes out.
Oh, Junior goes to the auditorium immediately.
And they're doing all the trust falls. It's so fucking funny. But it's just
the one that she's in the wheelchair and does the trust fall.
And then it crashes onto the ground.
And then what is it? I don't hate you because you're fat. You're fat because I hate you.
It's so funny. Again, Tina Fey's script is really
and
tight.
that's sort of it. That's got to give me a little bit of hope for this new one.
I agree that she's back in
she's back in it. The trailer, I admit, the trailer hasn't done a lot for me.
It hasn't wowed me. No, I won't say it has.
Some of the jokes that they've given Damien really don't land, like the Beyonce thing.
I actually haven't seen the trailer.
It doesn't land for me, and I'm worried.
Okay.
But I also am like Tina Fey's giving me, and the fact that like as I said, I was meant to go see this musical in New York. Before a little time in March of 2020, so we all know that didn't happen.
That didn't work out well for the world.
So, yeah, I'm like, well, maybe this will be my way of seeing it. But yeah, I have a little bit of hope.
Yes,
but I'm also not like, I'm not going into this being like, yeah, like if this is like me, like if it's like Mean Girls, great. But I'm also not going in thinking this is going to be like anything on par with that.
I think overall as well. I think Mean Girls starts strong and finishes strong. Yeah. And I just think in the middle, it just loses. It lost my interest a little bit. Yeah. I don't know. Like it's like a 95-minute movie. Like it's not long. It's pretty fast paced. I just feel like, again, it's maybe not the movie's fault, but just watching this directly after Clueless. Yeah. Where Clueless is a joke a second from start to finish. Yeah. Mean Girls, probably for the best.
Is it kind of
get a little
more
serious.
Is it kind of the part where like Katie's kind of becoming the new Regina.
Yeah, and the burn book becomes a thing.
yeah,
and even though there's iconic scenes, like you get the talent shows, Kevin G in the fucking talent show.
Oh,
hilarious.
Kevin G.
It's so fucking funny. Like that guy is the, and then he's also captain of the mathlete scene, which is even funnier.
I love how when they come into the mathletes and he's like, oh, awesome turnout this year. And there's like 8 people on you.
It's funny. There's really funny moments, but I just think, maybe I just didn't love. But again, I gave it a 3.5. Like it's still a great film. But Clueless is Clueless. Clueless is Clueless. But then look, we got Clueless, we got Mean Girls, and then 2019, Booksmart comes out.
Booksmart.
Now, I remember, so I just started reviewing at this point.
How many screenings did you go to?
Of that?
Yeah.
I went to one.
There was
2.
There was a preview?
There was 2. There was 2 previews.
Yeah,
I went to one, and then I sent Rhiannon and George to another one.
I went to both.
Because it's that funny.
Yeah. So I went to the first one with my mate Shane because he had heard about it.
Yeah.
And I was like,
I remember seeing the trailer and being like,
Yeah.
oh, this looks funny.
Yeah. So I
guess.
took him and then was like, holy shit, this is hilarious. So then the second screening, because the first screening was quite early.
Yeah, where I remember it was super
Like it was
early.
almost just like, let's just test the waters on this. We've heard good things like it was coming out of like.
I'm trying to remember what film festival.
South by?
It might have played at South by.
It feels like a movie that would have played at South by. And then the second screening, I took Wing and was like,
and it's fucking hilarious.
This is hilarious.
I'm going to actually see when it premiered. But yeah, same deal. Saw it twice at the cinemas. And I remember when I saw the trailer and I was like, oh, okay. And then I think the biggest thing that was catching people's eye was that it was Olivia Wilde's directorial debut.
Yeah.
So you kind of go, okay, like let's see what.
And also, if you've never seen Booksmart and all you know about Olivia Wilde is because of all of the "Don't Worry, Darling" stuff, put that aside.
Put it aside. Go watch.
Because
fucking absolutely go watch
is
this.
So fucking funny, and
You are correct. South by Southwest in 2019.
And my God, she directs the shit out of this.
And it's not just directing the shit out of this, but the pacing of the film's great. But the cutaway gags, like edits and stuff, like it's perfectly edited. It has an immediate energy to this film.
Like from the get go, when you have Beanie Feldstein and Caitlin Dever, and they sort of meet up, and we're getting their their dynamic as friends.
Yes,
and we have them dancing together, and then the music cuts out, and you realize what it is. It is 2 people
just dancing on the street,
and like you're doing
which is pretty funny.
You know, and then it's like, I miss you. I love you. Like, it's so good.
But their chemistry together is perfect. Like, Beanie Feldstein and Caitlin Dever are perfect together.
Yeah.
Yeah, so believable, but they're so funny. And I think the biggest thing about Booksmart, which, by the way, critics score 96%.
Yeah.
Highly regarded.
Banger.
Audience 77 for a comedy. Pretty good.
Not bad.
Because comedy,
can. And also, let's not forget, we don't we are living in a world where female-driven comedy isn't always always looked upon as favorable.
When it's not looked upon as favorable, but also when production companies might be just making them for the sake of making them and not making good ones.
Yeah.
Because they want to be like
as much as this movie is.
Because Booksmart did well, we've got to make our female-led comedy. It's like, well, no. Make a good one because
really
there are fucking good ones out there.
Like you could make this with 2 guys and it would be the exact
same movie.
And a lot of people did liken this to like the female version of Superbad.
Yeah, I get it.
But it's like it's also
here's the thing.
It's a totally different thing.
It's a different movie, but
like Superbad
as soon as something's crude sexual,
it's Superbad.
It's Superbad.
Like Superbad to me is more like American Pie.
I would say American Bad's more like Superbad. Yeah.
Whereas Booksmart,
American Bad, Superbad.
Booksmart, like it's just 2 girls who like they just want to party.
Yeah. Well, and that's what I like about this film is that they've gone through their whole high school career, life, whatever, being like not teachers' pets, but not like suck ups. They're still just 2 girls who enjoy.
Who like they have genuinely like enjoyed
their high school
academic experience of school.
But they've also missed out on the fun side of it.
And like, and there's the scene where like Beanie Feldstein's like in the bathroom and she's very confident how she's like, oh, well, you guys are all.
She definitely thinks she is like the smartest student in the school. So she's class president, or as her car park says, ass president, which is great.
She overhears 3 students sort of talking shit about her.
Yeah.
Which I love is in a co-ed bathroom.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
And they're talking shit about her, and she sort of walks out, and she's like,
"Oh no,
like please keep going, because while you guys are all," and she, very
degrading. I'll be at whatever elite
is it
college.
Harvard?
Might
No,
be
she's not going
no,
to
it's not
Harvard.
Harvard. I can't remember.
Yeah, that's because that's where Gigi's going. And
That's
she's like,
right.
don't judge me. It was my 5th choice.
But like
but
the guy who's been in high school then for 2 extra years, and everyone else is going on a 6-figure job at Google. Like,
and then the other girl's like, I'll be at that school too. And she's like, so yeah, I might have. She's like,
so all these fucking people are getting in without doing any work.
So it's like they did all of the work that we just kind of didn't see.
Yeah.
But they also had an amazing experience at high school because they got to party.
Yeah, the party kids are getting into
so
college.
She's like, so that's fucked that like they get to have both and we have sacrificed all of the fun for,
which I guess where the super bad comparison comes in because they're like, it's one night. It's our last night before graduation. We need to go to this party so we can just experience what they've all experienced. Like they're like, we worked so fucking hard and we haven't had fun. Let's have fun just for us. And they go on a wild night.
And their intention
much
is
like Superbad.
And their intention is, let's go to one party, Nick's party.
My party. It was a great party.
Played by Mason Gooding.
Right, I forgot he was in this. When it popped up, I was like, hey, like Scream. Of Scream 5 fame.
Like in 3 years, you're going to be Chad.
He's
a little,
but the good Chad.
He's a little cutie in this.
He is a little cutie in this, yeah.
So he's throwing a party because I love that because his aunt is stuck on a cruise ship.
Right.
And I love how when she's like, oh, that's awesome. She's like, well, they're all shitting in buckets.
It's like, it's a bad experience.
It's not awesome. But yeah, so he's throwing this like epic party. No one is giving the address out.
So they've got to find.
So they've got to find it. So they basically, they go from one
party to another because everyone's doing their own.
So
the drama kids, which is
he's Noah Galvin
from Theatre Camp, who was fantastic in Theatre Camp this year, is having the drama party.
Yeah, no one's winning in that outfit.
He is so fucking funny in this because again, when he popped up, Rhea and I were like, "Oh my god, he's."
And then you realize Molly Gordon, who is like the slutty. Well, like she's sex positive is what we would say. She's like
it's played off in the traditional high school sense of slutty because everyone talks about how she's given like all these dudes blowjobs and stuff, and she's like. Of course I did. I fucking love.
But I'm really good at blowjobs, but I'm also really smart. And it's like, fucking own it.
Sex positive and academically positive.
Molly Gordon, who then worked with Noah Galvin in Theatre Camp, directed Theatre Camp, wrote Theatre Camp. So she's like a full theatre kid.
Great cast.
So
and this is a great cast of all those up and coming teenage stars you've seen over the last few years, like Skylar Ginzotto. Who's
going to be Jimmy in Superman. That is,
which is pretty cool.
Perfect casting.
Casting.
I remember seeing him in Vacation.
And
being like, you are
funny
a comedy star. And then he got into then we saw him in Santa Clarita Diet.
Yeah,
was really good.
Great in that.
Licorice Pizza. He's got a great little role in that.
And then in this, obviously,
he is. And then
which
also
he's hilarious as Jared.
Also, he works in this movie with
Billy Lord,
who I'm sorry
is an enigma.
She deserved an Oscar nomination for this role.
She is fucking great in this.
Her entrance to this film is like iconic.
It's very fun, but she is non-stop iconic scenes because her whole bit is that she's on this insane drug bending adventure,
and she just pops up.
But she's always at the next party before anyone else.
And they're just like, I love how so she's on the boat. She's on a boat with Scarlett Gazondo, who no
one else has rocked up to this party.
He tries so hard, and everyone sees right through it.
Everyone sees right through it, especially because his license plate is fuckboy and his playlist is called Fuck Jams.
And there's a rumor going around that he lost his virginity to a prostitute. And it's like, and the story has to be true because there's too many specifics. She's like, what was it? Like she had a lazy.
I can't. There's something about a lazy eye.
But she's there's too much.
There's too many specifics that it has to be.
But the funny thing is, so they're at this party. They come into it. There's no one on the boat. It's really fucking sad and awkward. And then Billy Lord jumps overboard. Into the ocean. And then still manages to get to the next party. And then they just go. How are you here? How are you dry?
Yeah,
she's like, how are you dry?
She's like such an enigma in the film, and she is great. And then Skylar Ginzotto is great. Gazondo.
No, I'm not going to say this.
Gazondo. But ultimately, I get the super bad comparison with the jumping from party to party, but this is much. I think this is a much nicer film about friendship.
Oh, yeah.
Whereas because Superbad can be pretty mean, even though it's fucking hilarious. Like, I love Superbad.
But we also know Jonah Hill and Christopher Mintz-Plasse
hated each other. Or at least we know Jonah Hill hated him.
Funny when you rewatch it, when you realize
how annoyed he's getting. Yeah.
And you can imagine Christopher Mintz-Plasse
and then obviously
was like, I'm leaning into this.
Beanie Feldstein, sister of Jonah Hill in real life.
Yeah.
But to me, it's great that high school is so different in this film. Everyone is so much. It's
well,
like
we also
the acceptance is reversed, where Beanie Feldstein has this elite nature, which you could compare to Regina George and Cher, like in the other films. To an extent, you can at least make comparisons.
Yeah.
Everyone is so accepting of each other.
In her own mind, she's
the number one. But she's not a fucking bitch about it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, she's not trying to. She's not trying to tear other people down, but she's definitely
like she's arrogant, but not in a way that you're like.
It's not malicious.
You know, because she's like, I'm smart.
Yeah, totally. And she's owning it.
None of you have shown me the time of day.
Yes.
So why would I be friends with you? And then that's what's great, because like towards the end of the film, like when they come to the party eventually, you realize how everyone's like, I've always wanted you. Like one of the girls is one of the girls that Caitlin Dever has a crush on.
Yes.
Because I love the fact that she's an out lesbian and there's never any jokes about it.
No. Which Mean Girls and Clueless all have in common. Have gay characters where it's just part of the culture.
But so the girl is like, I've always wanted you to like come out and hang with us. And then Nick is like, when he sees Beanie Feldstein, he's just like, are you in, like, he's like, are you in my house? Is the class president in my house? This is great. And he's like, I've always wanted to hang out with you. And naturally they both interpret that as being a more romantic thing. Totally. And that's really heartbreaking as well. That is hard.
The pool scene is so beautifully shot. The song is great. And then it ends in heartbreak when both the crushes are kissing each other.
Which,
and
you know, and then obviously it leads to the most emotional scene of the film.
The sex scene in the bathroom. The argument.
The argument.
The argument is so well shot.
So the argument, the fact that it's just them shot on those two, and then the music
drowns out.
The music takes over the dialogue, and all you see is just them mouthing it, and then you get her mouthing "fuck you."
Yeah,
and you know that,
and then everyone's filming it on their phones. And then
you know that her mouthing "fuck you" and saying it to her friend.
Yeah,
that's when you just go, that's rough.
That's rough
because you. I mean, you kind of sense that they were really like some of that stuff was pent up.
Yeah, 100%. Because that's the thing. It's like their friendship is built on the fact that nothing's ever gone wrong, which is never the case.
No.
And especially in a friendship like that where they obviously don't talk to each other about the issues in their friendship.
Yeah, because Caitlin Dever is like, we do everything you want to do.
Yeah.
I'm just
and
going...
Caitlin Dever's a lot more reserved. She's very much like, she's happy to let things... She's the Michael Cera of the...
And then Beanie Feldstein is like, I only take charge because you never do.
You don't do anything.
And you kind of realize, well, you also look at it and go, you probably haven't given her the chance to do it.
Yeah.
So they're both.
She is a control freak in a way.
They're both flawed people.
Yeah.
But in that scene, you don't really take a side of either of them.
No, because
like you go, I can see Beanie Feldstein's
I don't think you're on a side. I think you're just sad.
Yeah, because
you really like
because
them.
we've spent 90 minutes, 95 minutes with these two, and we love you love these two people.
They are
so likable.
So likable
as
characters,
and because everything
but so is everyone in this film.
Like there's no like high school villain. Like even though there's people that give shit to them,
but every time you
realize why they're giving shit to them, because everyone's just going through their own.
Because everyone's in high school because they don't know what they're doing. Everyone's scared to leave high school. Which is perfectly fine, but like it's one of those things where every time you think someone is going to be the high school villain, whether it is Noah Galvin's character or Molly Gordon's character or Macy Gooding's character,
I think it's Diana Silva. She plays the girl that Caitlin Dever hooks up
with, right?
She kind of says some nasty stuff to her.
Yeah, totally. But then you realize everyone is like, oh no, I don't hate you. We're just going through our own stuff. Also a lot of the things that are perpetuated that you don't like about me, you've created in your own head.
Yeah,
that's the biggest thing that Beanie Feldstein gets called out on a lot of her presumptions about
at the end when Beanie Feldstein and Molly Gordon are in the car together.
Yeah.
And she's like, first of all, Molly Gordon is just like, I'm not going to talk to you at college. And then at the end, she's like, just don't, like, because her nickname's AAA.
AAA,
because she gave
She gives roadside assistance.
To roadside assistance. And she says to her, she's like, please don't call me AAA at college next year, indicating that she will actually be friends with her.
Yeah.
And then Beanie Feldstein is like, realizes that she's called her AAA.
Yeah.
And she's like, I'm really sorry. But then she says, you know, Caitlin Deaver, she's like, she never called you AAA.
Yeah.
And it's kind of a case of Caitlin Deaver's the more pure of them.
Yeah.
And even though they've just had this massive fight, she's still like, I'm still going to defend my friend.
Defend friends,
because even though we've had a
Which
fight.
is lovely.
Having a fight with a friend doesn't immediately go, we're now no longer friends.
No,
Like, that's really
not
stupid.
at all. Not at all.
Yeah.
Which is a beautiful, like, it makes the friendship so much more beautiful as well. But again, it's the overarching theme of all three of these films.
Yeah.
Is that you kind of got to look into yourself before projecting on other people, right?
And you realize...
But high school is the worst environment for that.
because everybody's going through their own shit.
It's-
And everybody puts up a front.
Yes.
And like...
Because you want to just impress people.
So you might be an absolute, like...
But
an absolute, like, villain.
Yeah.
But you're doing it because you might be...
You're projecting insecurities.
Because, you might be going through shit at home. You might be dealing with your own, like, sexuality. You might be getting bullied by someone that you can't see, so you're doing it to someone else. And that's the thing. You just got to go, we don't know what everyone's going through.
Which is what's so great about all three of these films. They all have in common of high school is just a hostile environment in general.
And everyone's
You're putting a bunch of hormonal teenagers in a space together.
And everyone's just doing their best to survive.
And the biggest overarching theme in all the films, probably Mean Girls may be the only exception, is that the teachers don't really give a fuck. You know what I mean?
No.
Miss Fine in Booksmart, definitely. But again, she's also just out doing her own thing.
Yeah.
Jason Sudeikis' character, who's an Uber driver outside of school, he's just doing his own thing.
That scene in the car when the
good.
When the fapping comes
Oh,
through.
fuck, that's fucking funny. Oh my god. Every single car ride in this film is great, with Miss Fine with that, and then with the pizza driver.
When you realize that he's actually a sexual predator, a serial killer,
a sexual predator, serial killer, who is lecturing them on getting in a car with strangers.
Don't just get into a car with strangers. You don't know who it is.
Did you just pull your hair over to make some sort of mask?
And how they're like,
do you have a weapon on you?
And how they're like, this was more of what we were focusing on more than anything else.
He's like, do you have a weapon on you? And they're like, no. He's like, I have a gun in my glove compartment right now for situations just like this. It's so fun. And I think that's the thing I love about all three of these films is that the comedy is so heightened.
Yeah.
Yet high school seems more ridiculous.
Yeah.
And that's kind of perfect. Yeah. Like it's the great, that's why I think like you look at the foundations of like Clueless was made so Mean Girls could be made, so Booksmart could be made. And even though they all have so many central themes in common, the evolution of high school is part of the reason why I think they withstand themselves in the decades they came out. You know what I mean? Like it was 15 years between Booksmart and Mean Girls, and then almost 10 years between
So that
Mean Girls
means
and
in
Clueless.
2029 at the earliest, we might have
we could get something else. I don't think Mean Girls, the musical, will be that one.
And I just realized, how old I'll be in 2029. Like that's sad. Me being like, oh my god, the next great teen movie is here. Let me grab my cane while I go.
What's this year? 2024. Yeah. How old am I this year?
And you turning 30
I'll be 33.
this year?
No, 29 this year.
29. Really?
Yep. Still got one more year left, baby. I'm a child. 33, I'll be at 2029. What? 34. Okay, I didn't do maths. As we've spoken about, the high school was not my best of academic years.
You're 29 now.
Yeah, and then in 5 years. No, I'm 29 this year.
We'll just say you're 29.
Okay, I'm 29.
Because we don't know when the movie is going to get released.
What are we talking about?
You're 29, and then in 5 years, so you'll be 34.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to say.
You'll potentially be 34 when the next great teen
movie comes out.
Hey.
I hope there's one.
Yeah.
And I hope I still understand what's going on.
Yeah.
Mean Girls will be a great litmus test for that.
I'm really worried about all the fucking like TikToking.
I'll be like, what's happening right now? But Tina Fey wrote it, so she's got to be across it in some way, shape, or form. Let's hope.
Let's hope.
The only thing that is kind of worrying is the January release. There's still a stigma over January releases. Actually, by the time this comes out, we will be able to say we've seen a 2024 movie which feels the fucking bad January stigma. We can say, because the embargo would have broken, we saw Night Swim.
Well, our interviews are out, so...
Our interviews are out for Night Swim, so you know we've seen it. And our review will be out yesterday as the day of release. It kind of, makes the January cesspool argument for itself. Pool, great fucking connection there. So
it's not
Mean
great.
Girls coming out around the world, and it's not like it's a delayed Australian release. Like it's coming out all over. All the preview screenings are happening the night before. There's paid public screenings the night before. Fuck. And I don't think the embargo lifts until just before we see it. So, we
but
hope
also
it's good.
this has happened to other movies, and we've been
like Mithrigan was a surprise. Like I didn't love Mithrigan, but it was better than a lot of the stuff that comes out. I thought Operation Fortune was fine.
Scream 2022 came out
2022
in January.
was a January release, and then they moved it to March Toot Sweet because they were like, we need more money. Like let's make more money.
Oh, for Scream 6.
For Scream 6.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a quick turnaround.
It was a very quick turnaround.
Yeah.
It'd be a lot quicker than the next turnaround. Now,
Now that it's spoken, Christopher Landon has now
left the
exited
project.
Scream 7.
And he left it weeks before he announced it, which doesn't shock me.
I was like,
it doesn't shock me, but also at the same time, like I would love to have seen his Scream because I like Christopher.
I would have
Landon's
loved to have
horror
seen
films.
his Scream 7 with obviously
Everyone.
with everyone in it. Apparently, the writers of Scream 5 and Scream 6 are still on board to write Scream 7.
Okay, so we'll see what they do. We'll see what they do.
Writing
We'll
it.
see what they do. They'll be writing a completely new script. So January in that is 50-50. So
January used to be like just like
you
don't
drop
release
your
them.
shit.
Yeah.
You
But
drop
now
your shit in there.
Every now and then there'll be like one banger movie comes out.
And then people will realize when you have nothing out and you have your banger, you're going to make money.
You make more money because
So it
you've
almost
got
seems
no
like the
competition.
gamble month now.
Yeah.
It's like a gamble of a month. But also being a musical and coming off the heels of Wonka and The Color Purple, which are also musicals, as we were saying, they work in its favor.
And as we said, its projected opening weekend is like 27 million.
And it's got the Mean Girls brand, I guess, for lack of a better word.
Renee Rapp, who plays Regina George in this, she's got a massive following.
Okay. And I don't know who that is.
But yeah, she's a pop star. She's got a massive
I'm like
following.
old man yells at the sky when it comes to a lot of the thing that's happening.
Yeah. I only really know her because all of a sudden I was like, I should probably know who this person is.
Fair
and
enough.
I started listening to some of her music and I was like, okay.
And I know Andrew
And Gary Rice.
and Gary Russ. Okay, sorry. Because obviously Spider-Man, but she was also in something else that I really
Nice
enjoyed.
Guys.
The Nice Guys, that's right. So she's
And
fantastic.
She's done a bunch of
She's done
movies.
heaps of stuff.
and then we've got John Hamm as Coach Carr. I think that'll be a little cameo.
I think it'll be cameo
but
more
I'm
so.
kinda-
But Tim Meadows back, love that. Tina Fey back,
Busy
love that.
Phillips is playing
Busy
Regina's
as
mum,
mum,
which
I think could be
is great
fucking
because I
hilarious.
love Busy Phillips.
She is funny. She's
And
freaks and geeks.
Did you watch Girls 5 Ever?
No. I've heard it's good though.
Cougar Town?
No.
You would like Cougar Town.
I know I would like Cougar
of
Town
Scrubs,
because
Bill
of
Lawrence.
Scrubs as well, but also they worked it into Community, which is one of my favorite TV shows of all time. So I would probably like it.
I think maybe the first season of Cougar Town, you might be like...
Finds its footing
you might
a
be
little
like,
bit.
What the fuck? Once it becomes about the
core group. Okay. I do like Bill Lawrence because I do like Scrubs. So
Cougar Town is such an underrated show.
Interesting.
It is great. It is really funny. But
So
yeah,
all in all-
it might take a bit of time.
Okay, that's all right. Like
Yeah.
like all
Yeah,
good TV
all good
shows.
TV
They got to
shows.
find their footing.
Yeah.
But I think it's been this has been a great marathon to open up this
I
year
was
with,
I was
by the
not
way,
mad with these three movies
because
at all.
I had a lot of fun with all of them.
Yeah.
So because Booksmart for me, I think I gave like a 4 out of 5.
Yeah.
Like I loved
Yeah.
Booksmart when it came out, and I loved it now as well.
Booksmart was one of my top 10 of 2019.
I think it was up there for me. I think it would have definitely been top 20 at least. So let's hope Mean Girls 2024 at least has some redeeming qualities to it. Let's hope we're surprised.
Yeah, well,
based
on
expectation.
our next episode of this monthly movie marathon, let's face it, we're not watching great movies.
Yeah, let's.
We can have a little debrief about Mean Girls the musical.
We can absolutely because that'll be the redeeming quality potentially of that episode.
Because oof,
Well, here's a little tease for you before we actually reveal it. We'll reveal it to you.
we will reveal it, but yeah, let's just go. Let's. What are you gonna say?
He was working in the Amazon with my mom before she died, investigating spiders. Madame Web is coming out in February.
And look, I love Dakota Johnson.
So do I. I
we've
love
got-
her as an actress and as a personality.
The fact that she
Fucking
Shut down-
ripped Ellen.
shut down Ellen, doesn't take any of Jimmy Fallon's fake nonsense either. So great. And look, I love that she's now entered the world of superhero-ness.
Yep, totally. Yeah.
But Sony, apart from Spider-Man,
Which we will say is a co-production with Marvel Studios with Disney.
Yeah.
So they have not qualified
Yeah.
for next month's monthly movie marathon.
Sony's
Marvel universe of Marvel characters. Sumk. That's what it's called. The Sony universe of Marvel characters.
Yeah.
Sumk.
Or if it's more of like a soft C, Sums.
It's Sums. Is what we're doing for the next monthly movie marathon.
And then you go, if we're not doing the 3 Spider-Man movies, Spider-Man Homecoming, Spider-Man Far From Home, Spider-Man No Way
Because they're just a
Home.
little too... I know that these new ones also are now connected because everything's fucking a canon.
But also, we don't need to
like,
rewatch those.
We don't need to... enough people have spoken about it. Yeah. I'm already in enough trouble with a lot of people about what I think about No Way Home.
Yeah.
2.5 hours of fan service.
It is fan
which
service.
was fine.
Yeah.
Come at me, haters. We were like, you know what? If we're gonna do this, let's have some fun with it and just dive headfirst into the shallow end.
Another drinking one.
I think it could be another drinking one because we will be watching in the lead up to Madam Web, Venom, Let There Be Carnage, and we're going to the Morbin Moon, baby. With Morbius.
It's Morbin time.
It's fucking Morbin time. So 3 films leading up to Madam Web.
And
which of the trailer I have seen once.
At Anyone But You?
At Anyone But You. And I went, I don't know what the fuck this movie is.
A part of me wants it to be so successful just to shut everyone up. Because when the trailer was released, all I saw on Twitter
was hate.
Was anything to do with this spider line in the Amazon. And you can tell when watching the film, that is either not a line in the film or it's been cut together or it's an absolute overdubbing because it just doesn't sound like a natural line of dialogue.
It doesn't.
But maybe this film is that bad that it's going to do that.
But maybe it's also going to be a surprise and it's actually going to be a decent movie.
I would love this to make like 300. I would love this to make Venom money.
Imagine if it gets close to that billion.
Like Venom made what, $800 million?
Yeah. Crazy, right?
And you know what? Rewatching Venom prior to Venom Let There Be Carnage, I was like, you're probably still going to be the best one out of these 3 because I haven't seen Let There Be Carnage or Morbius since the cinema.
No, neither. So
I did not like either of those films.
No.
But maybe rewatching them, knowing how much I hate them, maybe it'll make it
have some fun with
different experience.
Maybe we'll have some fun with it.
I don't think it's going to change my rating, but I
don't think so.
I might hate them less because I'm like, I know what I'm getting myself into.
Exactly, right? You like the guard is a little lowered now. So but that'll be the February episode of Monthly Movie Marathon as we sumk for Madam Web. Or for Madame Web.
Madame Web.
Interesting. And also because February was very much slim pickings for movies.
Yeah. It was either that or...
I can't even remember what we had.
There wasn't much to go.
There wasn't much.
So we thought, let's just...
So you're welcome and we're sorry.
And really... possibly only going to probably be the worst month. So really...
we got some bangers lined up after that. I think this year, as all years, is just strength for strength. It's going strength to strength.
So whenever... Yeah. So there's never going to be a worse year for movies.
No, God,
I'm sick of saying... people saying 2023 was a bad year for movies. It's fucking not.
No, it was not a bad year at all. I will... This is what I thought about 2023 in general. When it hit hard. Like we had some... fantastic movies.
Yeah.
I think there was a lot more average movies this year.
And a lot of like, we thought that was going to be
a lot better.
It sunk low.
But it doesn't mean it was a bad year. I think some of the best movies of the last 10 years came out in 2023.
Yeah.
As you'll see in our top 10 list. Or if you go to our fucking 2023 recap episode,
you'll know what
you'll find out what we enjoyed. So, but if you have already watched that or if you've already listened to it, thank you very much.
Thank you.
We love your support and we appreciate you all. We're excited for this year because not only is Monthly Movie Marathon absolutely going to fucking blow your socks off for a whole year, you get to hear us, myself, Nick Labarro, and yourself, Peter Gray.
Yeah.
You don't have to wait once a month anymore.
You
to hear our voices or to see our faces outside of AU Review or NovaStream. You get to hear us weekly on a brand new podcast. That is the brainchild of young Peter Gray here. So
part of me feels like I have to really apologize to Nick because let's just say
for many things, but mainly this.
But like the next year, we're not going to be watching
great movies.
But my God, will there be some fun conversations?
There's going to be some amazing conversations over the next year or so.
We'll just say the first movie that we have chosen for this episode, and you have to listen to that episode to know what it is, because I'm not going to give you all of the...
No, because there'll be teasers weeks a week.
I'm not going to give you all of the pennies. I don't even know that's a sentence.
No, it is.
I'm not going to give you all of the pennies. You have to listen. But let's just say it's bad.
It's fucking bad.
And like, it's so bad that it is a 0% on Rotten Tomatoes.
And do you know what? It is regarded as the worst reviewed film ever.
So the idea behind the podcast, it's called 0 to 100. It will be on all of the things that you need
platforms.
To be. But yeah, it's basically every week we will watch a movie that correlates with a Rotten Tomatoes score, starting at 0% and ending at 100, which means week 1 is 0%. So
episode 0%.
It literally is like it can only get better. But can it?
You'll have to listen in.
You'll have to listen in. But that is what's happening. So that'll be happening weekly. So you're welcome.
Starting very soon. So keep it, as always, check out our socials, linked below, or at nicksflicksfix on X and Instagram.
And at ratedpdg on X and Instagram.
And you'll see when the episodes are dropping. For that. But as always, just because we're doing a weekly show doesn't mean the monthly movie marathon's going anywhere.
It's not at all.
It's because you love listening to it. Thank you all, because the show, I don't know if you saw, we had over all the Nicksflicksfix shows, 32 countries, 3,000 downloads, and we don't pay for advertising.
No.
We're very much a budget operation here.
So
I don't pay Pete to do this. I don't pay myself to do this. No. We do it because we love film.
And we thank each other in different ways.
In very, very different ways. I think we bought each other a drink at a movie once. I still owe you Pepsi Maxes from Pop Culture Essentials.
But like, I was like, the amount of gas probably over
but we do it because we love it, and we do it because you love it. So thank you for that.
Thank you very much. If we could say it in other languages, we would, but I'm not going to do that.
No, I'm not going to learn 32 languages.
That could be bad.
That's we're cancelable enough as it is.
But thank you, and hopefully more numbers for the next adventure.
Yeah, well, and hopefully you enjoy 0 to 100 as well. I think that'll be pretty fun.
But also this year for Monthly Movie Marathon, we've got some great, some great ones coming up.
There's some fun, but all the staples will remain. Q&A special in the middle of the year. Our 2024 recap as per normal. Christmas episodes, we'll be all over it.
Yeah,
it'll be good fun.
Hopefully, and then more of everything.
Everything, interviews, reviews, a whole lot of fun stuff.
We both looked at our interview quota for 2023, and it was
a huge year.
Pretty insane,
and it's already been promised that it's going to be a bigger year.
And then when you kind of looked at all that, and you just go, "Wow!"
I was looking at the list of names of people I spoke to, and I was like, "Holy shit!"
Yeah,
I was like, "That's mental." So if we can get better, that's gonna be pretty damn good. So yes, support is much appreciated.
But really, I mean, at the moment, we have our Night Swim interviews out.
Night Swim interviews are out.
By the time this episode drops, all of mine will be out.
Yes, same, as will mine. So we spoke to Ryan Turek, who's the president of feature film at Blumhouse.
So former Fangoria writer and Dread Central.
He's a horror nerd.
As he said, he's a horror nerdy guy.
Which was a great chat.
Yeah, we spoke to writer and director Bryce McGuire,
which was a fantastic interview.
He's such a lovely guy.
Lovely guy.
And then we spoke to the lead actors.
So you spoke
I spoke to Wyatt Russell and Kerry Condon.
And I had Mr. Wyatt Russell all to myself. So another great interview as well. So they'll all be up, both written and video. So just have a look out for those.
Yes.
A couple of things happening in January, maybe, where everyone's coming back to work now.
There is the possibility of a banger little premiere happening, possibly very, very soon.
Very soon. So we'll keep an eye out on that.
But we also have our dream, our lists. We've seen them. We've looked at what movies are coming out. We know what studios they're attached to. So that we kind of go, well, that might happen.
It might happen.
I'm obviously, after the recap episode, my goal would obviously be Mr. Johnson by the end of the year.
Dwayne Johnson for Red Notice.
If that happens.
Hey.
You never know.
We got a year until it could happen. So
maybe I'll just tag him and everything for the whole year.
And just get him on.
See
Yeah, that's a good
eventually-
idea,
and
actually.
Eventually
Yeah.
he just goes, oh, for fuck's sake, what do you want? I'll be like,
I just want to talk to you, sir.
I love you. And he's like, no. I'm like, okay, cool.
But he still spoke to you.
He
and
did.
That's a win.
Yeah, I'd rather have Dwayne Johnson reject me than not talk to me at all.
That's still a win. So there's lots going on. Interviews, reviews, more monthly movie marathons, 0 to 100. It's all happening in 2024. But until some sir.
I was like, what the fuck was that? But now I get it.
I had a stroke.
Some,
As always.
Bye.